But thank you for having us here, and thank you for anybody in the room who's been supporting Uber Ads in the last year. We really appreciate it. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is give you an opportunity to win something. So could you all stand up and get your phones out? Now, most speakers don't start with this, but the concept of getting your phones out, because we don't really want to, but I want to talk to you. So we're going to do a little competition. There are prizes based around can you open your Uber app, assuming you have an Uber app? If you haven't got an Uber app, we'll come and convince you later, shall we say. So get your Uber app out. So you can stay. This is a standing game, so many of you worked this before. But the way it works is obviously if your number isn't called out, you have to sit down. So the first thing we're going to say is if you have ordered on Uber Eats, stay standing. But if you haven't, please sit down. Oh, there's only a few of you. That's great. The next thing is if you've ordered grocery items on Uber Eats rather than restaurants, please sit down. Okay, so the rest of you, this is all about your Uber score. So my Uber score is 4.74. So it just goes to show that working at Uber doesn't change your score. So just in case anyone was worried about that. So if you have a score of 4.5 or below, can you sit down? Okay, that's good. 4.55, please sit down. You're a good crowd here. 4.6, sit down. Not losing too many at the moment. 4.65. Oh, that was a judge there. 4.7. Okay, 4.75. 4.8. Oh, now I can't tell the people at the back if they're standing because they're playing or because they're... You are playing, right, okay. 4.85. Okay. That's fantastic. So all of you still standing, if you come to me after this, at the break, I will give you a voucher for being fantastic Uber customers. There you go. Congratulations. Now, there's one other thing as well, is that if you see any of the Uber crowd, the Uber team, my team, around at the breaks, they may have some other cards to give out to good Uber customers too. Just saying. Anyway, what am I going to talk about today is a very quick run-through, there we go, of how we think about advertising with our platform. And what we think is, we have a really unusual approach to perhaps retail media because we're capturing people in moments. And I'll explain what we mean in moments as we go through this. But I think if you think about your own experience of Uber, there are two types of moments. There's a moment when you take a car somewhere or you pick up from somewhere. Maybe you're going to a concert. Maybe you're going to see some friends. That's a cultural moment. It's an important moment to you in your life. The same is also true with Uber Eats. 60% of people go onto Uber Eats not knowing what they're going to order. So therefore, our advertising business is very much about signposting and capturing people in those moments and helping them navigate what they decide to do. Very brief background to me. So I've worked in many companies doing what I think is actually retail media in different ways, where advertising has never been the primary revenue stream. And my role at Uber is to run the international markets for Uber, which is EMEA and APAC. And we're in about 10 markets within that region, from Australia all the way through to the UK. And the UK is a very important part of what we do. Way we think about our business is we're the largest mobility delivery platform in the world. And we want to be the default choice for movement for people and things. And that's how Dara, our CEO, talks about us. And we continue to drive to that in the variety of ways we've expanded the business. Uber in the UK, I don't know if anyone knows, actually launched in 2012, which is only 12 years ago. And now we've got Uber Eats and we've got Uber Ads and we have a load of other businesses as well within that. So we have grown very quickly, but the same principle applies about mobility and getting people to places and getting things to people. And we started Uber Eats after the Rise business, and that started very much around a restaurant business, and that's how that's grown. But we now are moving into the grocery space and grocery delivery space, but also wider and beyond that, other items that you can put within a last mile delivery that people want at that touch of a button on their app. And what we've seen is fantastic growth in this sector, particularly around grocery and retail. We've been growing in all areas, and I'll talk about the scale of our opportunity as we go through this. But in EMEA, we've seen a 50% year-on-year increase in orders coming through from grocery and delivery. So just in that sector, getting your weekly shop or getting a couple of bottles of wine because you're going to a party or some things that you're missing out on, that has grown rapidly, and we've seen similar growth in Australia and the APAC region as well. So we do think this is a trend that's going to continue as users get more used to this instant delivery metric. And then if you look at it in terms of where we are, in terms of types of brands that people are buying more and more of, interestingly, baby products are really, really massive growth. And I don't know about you guys, but anecdotally, I hear a lot of people getting giving people Uber credits when they have babies so they can get easy deliveries and get food and the things they need quickly. The same is true with household, the same with beauty, personal care, food, bev, and out bev. So all of these areas are growing really rapidly in fast delivery. And as you know, we have a wide range of partners on the platform, from Waitrose through Co-op through to Sainsbury's. So we have all of the big partners on the platform ready to be delivered depending on what you want to do. And I think when we think about our business, and particularly the ads business, but actually we actually believe in magic. If you think about your first Uber ride, it has changed so much from what it used to be. For those of you who are old enough, and I am definitely old enough, to remember the mini cabs of way back, you used to ring a number and hope that some guy would turn up in a car. That was it. And you had no idea whether the car was regulated, whether they were going to turn up at the right place. There was no way of communicating with them. Now we have this platform that changes that and has made that sort of magical for the consumer experience. And the same is true with food delivery and restaurant delivery. We think that that's a big fundamental shift from where we were rather than phoning up and doing it there. And we think, yeah, you can go anywhere and get anything. It's increasingly part of our business is go anywhere, get anything business. And we can do so many things. And this is the point about Uber. We have these cultural moments. We have these moments, these transactional moments. We have people with intent doing something. And what I'll do is take you through some of those as we for the next bit. But what is the scale of our business? That's the most important thing, I guess, if you talk about advertising. We have now 156 million monthly platform users globally. So it's up a little bit since we IPO'd back in 2018. We're in 30 ads markets globally, the UK being a critical one. We do 28 million trips a day. That is over 600 trips a second. Happening everywhere, as you know, across England. That's Uber Eats and Uber Rides. And we've done 9.4 billion trips in total. So we continue to grow this business across all of these areas. And obviously the ads business is now a very key part of Uber. And one of the things we announced this year is we'd reached $1 billion run rate. That was in July as part of our earnings call. So we're certainly going in the right direction. But when we talk about the UK, which is critical for this audience, we have 15 million active users per quarter as what we measure it as. 1 in 2 are Gen Z, and 2 in 5 are millennials in the UK have used Uber in the past month. So there's a lot of usage from core audiences. And these audiences, as they grow older, will become critical audiences for our business as we go through. I'm sure we'll get more new ones as we go through that as well. But we call them young on-demand natives. And I think that's a way of thinking about our users. They're a little bit different to a general population. They're very much in the space and they really enjoy using Uber. What they're really doing on Uber Eats, 7 out of 10 of them are restaurant delivery, which I think you guys were a little bit broader than this. 2 in 5 grocery delivery. And why do they choose us? Obviously, convenience is one. Wide selection's another. Promos and discounts is another area. But we believe we're the preferred delivery platform in the UK, and we continue to focus on that as we grow the business. But when we come to the advertising business, how does the advertising business fit into this? And what do we use from the consumers that we know about in terms of what they have? So we have lots of great data points. The first point is a user profile. So we know what device you're on. We know what payment method you're using, what account type you have, where your account was created. If your account was created in the US, was it created in the UK, and more. We know time of day. Time of day is really interesting on Uber. There's a whole heap of data about how people use Uber, both Uber Rides and Uber Eats. There's breakfast, there's lunch. There's people who use Uber only during the daytime just to get around. There's people who use it very late night. Some people who use it obviously getting to airports and beyond. There's a lot of data we can pick up there. For example, we know there's a big lift in Uber rides every Halloween weekend because everybody goes out and everyone wants to get home safely, and Uber becomes a critical part of this audience. We see big jumps in growth there, but we also see big jumps in delivery of certain types of items as well. They also have all the data we have broadly on the mobility side, so we know where you're going, not in a creepy way, but we have to know where we're going, otherwise we can't take you there. And I think that's important. So, we know if you're going to an airport, we know if you're going to a restaurant, we know if you're going to a bar. And all of those things matter when we talk about the targeting, and I'll show you some examples as we go through. Even live events. We know if someone's going to Wembley Stadium the day Taylor Swift is playing, that they're going to see Taylor Swift, and therefore they know we understand that thing about them. And then we also wrap in all of this with our delivery intelligence in terms of what restaurants you like, what foods you like, what item types you purchase. And if you wanted to target people who like pizzas who live in Lincoln, then that's absolutely fine because you can do that within the data that we have. But I think the one thing with us as a business is, one, we're very careful with our personal data we use. But the other thing is we don't need lots of data points to be effective. To capture people in these moments, it's actually only 2 or 3 data points, maybe all that's needed just to get that right person out at that right time. And beyond that, we have other ways of thinking about data as well. So we look at historical data. So for example, if you want to target people, you're an FMCGs heavily into targeting people who go to music events, that's actually very easy for us because we can see across a year period how many music venues you've been to and Uber's or been picked up from. We can also look at, obviously, naturally, a lot of our data is real-time data, and that's also very powerful. So, you can just have campaigns active waiting to go when you see someone do a real-time action that you're interested in. But context matters as well. With all of this, I'm a great believer that context is the critical thing. The data is important, but context makes a huge difference in terms of performance. So understanding that someone's on a ride or someone's in Uber Eats at that moment in time is really important. And the brands that do really well really engage with that. Whether it's a brand knowing that you're going to an airport, or a brand knowing that you're going to a shopping center, or a brand knowing you're in London as a tourist and you may want to go and see Harry Potter or one of the shows on. We do a lot of this type of thing where we can contextualize the moment and the advertising fits within that, and we see great success with that. And then the other thing I think that matters is obviously our brand and how our brand engages with our consumers and how that rubs off on the brands in the room that want to work with us. And what we see is Uber has obviously apps that are easy to use, services are reliable, and takes customer safety seriously. Those emotional attachments to Uber do work. And I think when we are sitting there talking about our ad business, we've made sure that emotional net resonance and that customer trust is not eroded in any way. So we want to make sure our ads are responsible, do all the right things. We don't want to do stuff that we don't need to do. So, for example, we don't take gambling ads in the UK. We don't take any advertising going to hospitals because we don't know, that is an area that's interesting, but we don't want to do that because we don't think that's appropriate. Advertising is appropriate in the right context for us as a business as much as it should be for your brands. And the other thing about the audience, which you probably wouldn't be surprised by, is obviously naturally they're ad receptive because of their age profile. They're more likely to use a video from brands, more likely to be receptive to mobile ads, and more likely to be receptive to video ads. So a strong resonance with advertising done in the right way. So let me take this for a little bit of a ride and show you what we do. So this is our Unilever campaign, which combines the use of our rides business as well as our eats business. And it's a very interesting one. So Unilever were doing a new bunch of flavors for Magnum that came out this summer. There's a video ad that sits in the Rides app here. So when you get into a car, before you get into a car, this is the first screen is the first screen you see while you're waiting for a car to be confirmed. The second screen is when the car is on their way to pick you up. And the third screen is while you're in the journey. So it's 3 units. One advertiser owns the whole experience. There's no other advertisers there. There's nothing to distract them apart from the Unilever presence here. And then you clicked on this, and actually we took people through to a relevant page, store page, where people could transact. And surprisingly, people do this. If you're going somewhere to a picnic and you need something, then we have seen people to get things delivered in very strange places. But that's what we do, so that's fine. So that's a good example. The next one is more in our transactional area within Uber Eats. So this is a campaign for Nessa Purina. And what we're doing is creating sort of shop fronts at the top, just to show the brands that are available from Purina in the shop. And that's across 2 of our stores that we operate within. And then this one is particularly interesting because this can work both online and offline. So it has done. So we can drive transactions to Uber Eats, but you can also drive awareness into venues. So this is Bacardi Patron. They wanted to get people to recognize Patron was out there and available in various places. So there's 2 campaigns on this, but there are 2 elements to this. But one was to bars where Patron was stocked, and I think that was important. And we also can do direct into where people can purchase it from. The great thing with all these ad units is because you're not competing with lots of other people, then the time spent is long. So the average ads on the right side is 2 minutes. So 2 minutes of your brand being exposed with nothing to interrupt it is a very unusual retail media experience, and one that stands out, we think. The click rates are very high, 2.5% on average. They're actually higher in most of these campaigns I've just shown you. And we're starting to work very closely on transactional value that we can add from the rides into the Eats environment, as much as we have lots of great formats within Eats, and I'll talk about those in a minute. So this is another one, final one, which is obviously Co-op that sits on our platform and promoting that for festive eats and other things. So there's lots of opportunities. Now, if you think about the way we think about our business, we have mobility and we have Uber Eats, but we have awareness and then we have re-engagement and purchase all the way across the funnel, essentially. So our Journey Ads business is what we do in our rides. We also have Journey TV, which is panels in the back of screens in the US only at the moment. We're looking where we do that. Then we have cart offers, homepage billboards, shoppable displays, sponsored items, which our restaurant partners and our retail partners use and our CPG partners use, CPG offers and post-checkout ads. And we're continuing to grow these surfaces and develop these surfaces, but we believe all of them have great value in different ways, and we trade them according to what is appropriate for those brands and those placements. But the thing is, we're talking about upfronts, and this is this year's, where we are going this year. So we've grown very rapidly, and again, thank you for your support. Where we go next year is really interesting. So we have AR ads coming on the platform, which we're currently testing at the moment. First impression is there, which is an ad that just pops up very quickly when you first get onto Uber Eats promoting things. We've got an advertising campaign at the moment with Burger King on that. We're going spotlight menus, so you can highlight menu items there. Pre-checkout, which I think a lot of people ask for in an environment that we are. You always want to encourage people to add extra things into their basket, and pre-checkout is part of that. Brand destination we're looking at, and off-platform exploration as well is also something we're looking at. So there's a lot coming. We're also working very closely with measurement partners to develop our measurement story. And we continue to build this business as rapidly as we can, as Uber does. But the key principles are customer first, clean environments that are contextually relevant to that consumer and capturing them in the moments, and providing the right measurement back to you as advertisers and agencies, because without that, how do you report back to your clients? So that's our sort of journey so far. Thank you so much for listening. I'm now going to release you back to the coffee world, which I'm sure you all need. But thanks also for being great Uber customers. And as I said, if you found some Uber team members, you might be nice to them. They might give you something back as well. Thank you for listening.
You take the weight off that knee.
Yes, oh, thank you.
I've just made you walk up and down stairs twice, so yeah, apologies, sort of least I can do. Retail media.
Yes.
How comfortable are you with the term? I mean, you've got loads of first-party data, you've got some physical real estate, You've got an app, so you tick all the boxes, but it's a funny old term to put Uber in.
Yeah, I think we would probably class ourselves more as commerce media, because I think it's transactional, but it's not retail media, and particularly in the UK, because the retail media obviously came from a very different place. So I think we're happy with the commerce media term, but we have obviously some retail media formats, as you saw up there.
Got it. Yeah, and I know I saw Simon Andrews here as well. Does the brilliant mobile fix, best thing in your inbox on a Friday. Merchant media, commerce media, retail media. We probably just need a meeting of medias. We probably need to figure out, because there'll be others, hotels, airlines, who might be in a kind of a similar thing. Stuff that's coming from the US as well. I mean, you're a business that moves and pushes things really, really fast. Anything you're seeing from the US that you think, God, I wish we could do that?
I think the big thing in the US is obviously we've got this Journey TV product, which is basically screens to the back of Ubers. And what we're seeing is really strong engagement with customers. So basically you get into the car, and unlike some of the screens that you've seen in backs of cars, which just go straight into ads or some CNN loops, this one has your map up. So it says, hey, James, you're on your way to JFK, so that means at least you've got an hour and a half to wait to get there. And then you've got that screen up, and then you can then toggle between content, ads, all sorts of things. And we're seeing some really good engagements on video there. We just rolled out a big thing with Octopus, which is part of T-Mobile, to take us to about 40, 50,000 screens, hopefully. And we keep on. So that's an area we'd love to develop further, because we think it's another space.
And I think you mentioned, I guess, what the grocers would call non-endemic. So, brands that they don't sell in the supermarket. That's a huge growth there for them.
Yeah.
Did you talk about non or out of category, something like that?
Yeah, we're doing more and more on the last mile delivery. We've got a great partnership with Boots and people like that. So more and more in that space naturally, as customers want a wider range of choice when they go to the app. They just want to, I want to get that thing and that thing, and not everyone supplies it.
Amazing, brilliant presentation. What a run rate as well, $1 billion ad business in a pretty short space of time. Amazing. Give it up for Paul Wright from Uber Ads.